Happy Tuesday and welcome to Conversations and Courage with your girl, Imani Capri, right here on 95.9 FM, WOVU Cleveland. I hope that everyone is doing well. This show is phenomenal because we have our co-host here, Dr. Karim R.Ellis, the number one breakthrough strategist, is on these airwaves. Dr. Shaman Rah, the one who says what's in the outside, what's in the inside is on the outside, is on the airwaves with us today. This is the number one power platform celebrating courage, healing, resilience, and transformation. It's also the place where we interview interesting people who are doing powerful, positive things with a courageous spirit, not only in this local area, but all around the globe. And today we have a phenomenal guest who is joining us. Before we get into the meat of the show, I want to share some of the bio of our guest. And then there are some congratulations that are in order for the kings on the Conversations and Courage stage. So let me give you the bio of our guest. Or should we do the congratulations first? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Okay, congratulations first. The congratulations first. I don't have the applause button with me right now, but applause, congratulations are in order for both Dr. Shaman Rah and Dr. Karim R.Ellis. Dr. Ellis, would you like to share with us your recent victory, what you did, what you just crushed, what we want to celebrate and honor you for?
Absolutely. So we had a goal to knock out a second TEDx. It's one of three. We're trying to knock out three. So I'm sorry, two of three. So we got a chance to knock out our second TEDx at the BGSU, that's Bowling Green State University, and they will actually air the clip on YouTube on either the 14th or the 15th of April.
Okay, awesome. And he tore that stage up. I mean, you say you train speaker assassins, but you are the chief speaking assassin, and you found your target, you shot it, and
Absolutely.
you bounced, and you dropped the mic. So
absolutely,
it was awesome. It was awesome. We were all cheering you on in the GPS family. So congratulations to you for that additional milestone, your second TEDx talk. Dr. Shaman Rah, what's happening? Happy Tuesday. I was about to say the day we're recording, but on the air is Tuesday.
Good
Happy
catch.
Tuesday. You guys unmute your mic. There we go. Mm-hmm. So yeah, what's up? Tell us about the news you got cracking.
Just been doing some things, trying to work stuff out, and I finally was able to produce my own little show. It's on Mystic Circle TV, and it's getting some good pull. It's talking about divine expressions, and it's what we all have to learn to express in order for us to move into that next level of consciousness. When we express in our divine selves, and we become the divine. And that's when we can create, manifest, and we can do all the things that we want to do. And you can draw things to you. And there's some other things that are coming on that actually we did a 30-day to change meditation challenge. And we're probably at day 25 now. Tomorrow will be day 26. And that has been incredible. Yes. Many people have manifested different things over the last 25 days. And I actually opened up something else that is huge. I can't go into deep detail with it, but it will be another major television production that I will be appearing in. So that's going to be something that's really key, and it's going to be great. I can't wait to share that when I can share it.
I can't wait either. But we gonna respect that agreement you signed. So, but what I will say is that the morning meditations at 6 a.m. on your Instagram, Oracle's Touch, is where you can still hop on. Woo! They have been making a huge difference. And that other class, I told you Shaman offers classes as well. Structure of My Spirit too.
Oh yeah, that shadow work,
yes.
Breaking it down. That shadow work is beautiful.
Listen. Can I tell y'all that I'm a recent divorcee from the next level of my BS? That class, I divorced from another layer of BS. Anyway, let's go into introducing our guest today. I'm so happy with the guest who's joining us today. She was born and raised in the state of Israel. Her first language is Hebrew, and she is fluent in English. She is your number one elevated consciousness coach. that helps take you back to your original soul state of mind, body, and soul. She is the founder of She Prays, a spiritual-based business in which she uses intuitive guidance and educated skill to assist you in mastering yourself through astrology, mastering your personal science, knowing where the planetary alignment was the day you were born. She also helps teach you ancient language that unlocks the higher level of consciousness, in other words, God consciousness within. She helps people elevate their mindset through prayer and diet. She also has plant-based body products and is a plant-based vegan cuisine specialist, teaching you that we are what we eat and that food has consciousness. She also has another business called I Eat Love. So who are we referring to? None other than my sister and friend to the show, an awesome woman, Shekinah Keys. The conversations encourage not only with your girl, but with the doctors, Shaman Rah and Dr. Karim R.Ellis. Welcome. How you feeling today?
I am feeling awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that awesome introduction.
Yes, thank you for being here. So we're going to dive right in. We're recording this in the month of March. This is airing the beginning of April. However, we are still working with the theme around Women's History Month and this concept of what is it that we can begin to do to create a world that actually values women. The last episode that we recorded was phenomenal. I guarantee. Wasn't there somebody who used to say, I guarantee that today's episode is going to be very powerful and impactful as my sister, Shekinah Keys, shares with us some of her personal story and journey in finding her own voice, in finding the courage to walk in her truth. So, Shekinah?
Yes,
would you like to just start it off, or you want me to ask you
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Warm you up?
No, I'm good to go.
Okay.
Today I wanted to talk to you all about powerless to powerful. See, I was raised in a community which was a cult. A cult isn't only a situation when you are just following a leader, one person, or a group of people. It is literally being in a space in which you have a devotion, an unhealthy devotion to a place, person, or thing. A lot of people don't know that because when you think of a cult, you think, oh, just those segregated communities, although they are very impactful. Women were considered second to men. All sorts of rules that had us bound emotionally. Vulnerability wasn't taught, it was obedience. Grew up wishing I was a man. I grew up wishing I was a man. Little chocolate drop in Southern Dimona, growing up, all I could think of is, man, I want to be like my brothers. I want to be a boy. Why? Because they got honored. Their voices were heard. They were served. So why not? Why be a girl? Why be a woman? Being in a situation, your father, your brothers, they were your voice. They voted for you in meetings and council. They were your voice. So I had to take my power back. How did I do that? By gaining clarity over who I am. Clarity is to sit still and completely get clear of the situation at hand. See, it's situations that you don't be clear about. Being powerless ain't just in a cult. You could be powerless anywhere. So in this situation, I had to gain clarity to get the point of what is wrong. Where am I going wrong? Then I had to confront it. I had to be honest. I've always knew there was something wrong. I just didn't have the voice. I didn't have the voice. I didn't have the know-how to stand up and say, what was the problem? Then eventually I had to conquer it. I had to conquer being powerless and voiceless. I had to stand up and find me. I had to conquer it by choosing me. My health, my values, my thoughts, my creativity, it all matters. So by standing up and conquering it, I allowed myself to push forward. That's how you become powerless. From powerless to powerful. You have to take your power back. No one is going to give it to you. Mm-hmm. Standing up for yourself by identifying the need that you're going to need help. The hardest part is identifying that you have a problem that you need help with. Mm-hmm. We have mentors, we have shamans, we have doctors, we have therapists today, life coaches, energy healers. We need help. It is okay to say you need help. Part of conquering and taking your power back is being honest with the need for help. That's what I did for myself. That's why I'm able to stand here and speak going from being powerless to powerful, walking in my truth. I found the courage to walk in my truth.
Woo. Thank you. I'm feeling turned up over here. Before we go to this break in 5 minutes, let me just put that out there because I know we all about to dive in, and I know the listeners are like, we have so many questions. We need y'all to ask the questions we're thinking. So
I'm ready.
I'll ask one of the co-hosts. Would one of the gentlemen like to volley up the first question before we go to break?
I'll throw something out there, because for you to be, in a cult and then to escape a cult, the first thing that comes to mind is being a victim of identity theft, right? Yeah. Because your identity is stripped from you. So one of the questions I got is, how in the world do you recover your identity after having it stripped for how long? Because I don't know how long you were in the cult, but how long were you there, and how did you get your identity back?
I would say from born and raised there. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a choice in the matter. Only when I began to realize that it just wasn't a good fit. Sure. I left home at 17 years old, and I began a road. It didn't stop there. Yeah. I had to begin a road of transformation before I was able to identify that I needed help.
Jeez. I think that's wild, only because, I've never been in a cult before. I think a lot of the listeners may have never been in a cult before. So we're getting cult 101 literally from you, right? But the one thing I can say is this, is though we laugh at it, people are in cults every single day. They just don't realize it. That's right. We have in our sanctified imagination what a cult looks like, but we live in a world we're told what to do every single day, and we do it without question and not realize that's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is what I call the illusion of freedom. A lot of people don't realize the freedom you think you have, you may not really have. So I'm loving the fact that you're so open to say, hey, listen, this is where I was, this is where I'm at, and here's the transition I went through that got me from this side of the fence to the other side of the fence. Because I'm hoping the listeners that are tuning in are taking this message to an even deeper level, because I think that everyone is subject to being stuck in cult-like thought and cult-like mindset and cult-like behavior. We just got to be free about what are the imaginary parameters that are surrounding us and keeping us locked in, and more importantly, what does it take to escape and rediscover our identity. So I'm loving this talk today.
Absolutely. Wow. And one thing I want to highlight before we go to the break, Shekinah, you said that you shared with us like definition of a cult, and that even though we may have some of our stereotypical thoughts about what a cult is and what happens in a cult, that really a cult can be anything to which we give an unhealthy devotion. Now, that's deep. Because if you devote it to Red Hot Cheetos, you know what I'm saying? That's a little cultish.
It's that following mindset. That mindset that just keep you stuck with no self-identity, not able to speak your truth. Anything that puts you in a place where you're not able to be honest with yourself, speak your truth, come forward and say something that ain't right. Automatically, that puts you in a position of a cult-like mindset.
I don't have some jobs like that. I don't have some relationships like that. I don't have some listen.
Yes. Yes.
There you.
Yes, we have to go to a break in 2 minutes, which is why I'm dancing on the deeper questions, because I don't want to have to start that conversation and break it. But with a minute and like 50 seconds before the break, Shaman, do you want to tap in real quick before we
I
go
would
to
just
break?
say one quick question to kind of tap on to Dr. Ellis.
Mhm.
Can you tell us what the pivotal moment was that made you say it's time to leave, or the pivotal thing or moment that happened that says I have the strength to leave? What gave you that push?
Another level of physical assault.
Okay.
And when I was approached with a situation that truly was against everything that I believed within me, my own personal values, I drew the line there. That's when it was like, okay, I'm done.
So before we go to this break, I want to prime a question to kick off the next segment, and that is, for the listener out there who's saying, okay, she's talked about, going from powerless to powerful, but we want to know, like, what was going on in the cult? What was some of the behaviors or things that she experienced? Because I know people are curious, right?
Yeah.
And so I want you to maybe think about some of the things you feel comfortable sharing with us about that when we come back from this break. And then moving into, once you had that turning point, telling us a little bit more about what that turning point was. Once you had that turning point, how your journey started to unfold from there, and how important it is for, when we think about creating a world that values women, being able to create a space where women can stand and speak their truth, right? Not only women, but in this series of conversations, we are emphasizing women. So WOVU listeners, we have to go to this break. Stay tuned. We will be right back. You are listening to Conversations in Courage with your girl, Imani Capri, and Dr. Karim R.Ellis, the #1 breakthrough strategist, and Dr. Shaman Rah, the one who says what's on the inside is on the outside, and our awesome guest, Shekinah Keys, the #1 elevated consciousness coach. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And we're back. You're listening to Conversations in Courage with your girl, Imani Capri, and Dr. Karim R.Ellis, #1 breakthrough strategist, and Dr. Shaman Rah, who says what's on the inside manifests on the outside. Make sure to tell your family and friends to tune in every Tuesday right here at 11 a.m. on WOVU.org online, the WOVU app, and of course, if you're local, 95.9 FM. So we are joined today by our awesome friend and sister, Shekinah Keys, who is also known as the #1 elevated consciousness coach. She is here today sharing her journey in going from powerless to powerful, and how important it is to create safe spaces in the world for women to be able to share their truth, share their story, and also heal. So Shekinah, thank you for being here with us. One of the questions I wanted to kick it off with was, what were some of the things that you feel comfortable sharing that you experienced while you were in the cult that put you in the place of feeling powerless?
When sitting at a table and you begin to talk or speak out loud and you being shushed, so-and-so is talking. Or being in auditoriums when we're women and men, young adults, children, and you only see men at the podium. You only see men at the podium. It was a hierarchy where it is literally stated that men, women, then children. So that puts you in a space of, I'm after them. The energy behind the community, the cult, is using the faith, religion to bound one. Put you in a state of, you have no self-identity. Why? What does that mean? That literally looks like everyone have uniforms.
Sure.
You are told how you can and cannot wear your hair. From a certain age, daughters are allowed to do their hair a certain kind of way. From another age bracket, daughters are allowed to wear certain levels of earrings, sizes. It was just complete control over who you are. I never got to experience how to just be. Not a teenager, not a young adult. I have a 16-year-old. So when she says, oh, I want to do this with my hair, I want to try this shampoo, I want to do this, I want to do that, I get it. But it makes me sit there in that moment like, yo, I never had that experience. To just experience with my own identity, how I want to be perceived, what that looks like. Someone stripped it away from me. To the point that I wore head covers 80% of the time. Dresses down to your ankles. You had to jump rope. Most cases with dresses. Those are some of the things that you didn't get to experience a normal childhood. Now, we did play. We did have children games. Can't take that away from that. And there is some real good, positive things that comes with community living, connection, and bonding. But it's the unhealthy part of stripping one away from their identity that causes it to be so harmful, painful.
I can relate to that because during some of my childhood abuse, my mother's ex-husband, like during those teenage years, was very controlling about how I dressed, what I did with my hair. Now, I was very smart, so I was on a track to get, which I eventually got a full scholarship to a private college prep boarding school. But I had to dress in junior high school like a female Carlton. Y'all know Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yes.
Talking about Brooks Brothers turtlenecks, a blazer. Totally. I mean, I get what the preparation was for where I was going, but that was one of the most humiliating things that I experienced because I did not have the freedom to express who and how I felt I should be. Right. So this ain't about me, but I understand that sentiment and that feeling. So I want to open it up to the gentleman here, you know, in what you have heard Shekinah share of her story and what we have been talking about this month about creating a world that really values women. You know, what are your thoughts or what are your feelings about this conversation and that theme and your perspective as men?
I think it's a great perspective, or I think it's a great thing to talk about, because there's so many things that are going on behind closed doors that we don't really understand. So, you know, I do have a few questions for sure, because this whole cult dynamic spawns into the family. And so if it's spawning from the external family to the internal family, what are the thought processes within the children within the home? How are they looking at their parents once they decide, or once they figure that something's not right? And then are the parents still following the cult? Are they not following the cult? And then most of all is, do they break free, or how is that relationship rectified once you understand that it is a cult and you break free from it, but they might not have? If you could kind of speak on that, because I know there's a lot of people that are going through these things, you know, and children that were in these cults, you know, there still has to be something that's brought together from the family. And I think, especially the women being the ones that suppressed, they have the voice. So I think for them to be able to speak up to other children or other people that were in these situations, how do you move forward? How do you rectify it? How was it feeling in the family at the time of being in the cult? And have you forgiven? Have you rectified? Have you moved forward with the relationships? And how do you rebuild those relationships?
Well, I will begin with saying that the first thing that happens is you in a space of exile.
Okay.
You get up and you decide to find your authenticity. I don't want to be here anymore. You are placing, this is where the true courage can come in at, because you're willing to stand against your own family. That's mother, fathers, brothers, sisters. In that moment, sometimes that means being exiled for months at a time, no holidays, no birthdays, some severe situations, no communication whatsoever. So is it hard? Absolutely. Does it, in time, it did become a space where you can heal, but it depends on families. It's individual families. In my specific case, I was exiled for months. I was blessed that I had a father that he loved me unconditionally. And regardless, in spite of me being completely exiled from the community, he called me anyway. He would visit me anyway, so, that would be considered against the communal laws. But in that moment, it was his love for his daughter and her emotional stability was very important to him over those rules and laws. My mother didn't. My brothers, they were on the fence as well. So it took a long tribulations of going back and forth before any form of healing. I would say the biggest part is learning how to forgive yourself for being in a situation, learning how to forgive them for not having the courage to stand up and leave. I do not judge them. I do not judge those who are there, because wherever you are, you either believe you're supposed to be there or you still haven't faced and have the courage to stand up and walk away.
So I want to leap in here real quick. Two things. My memory's still on what Imani just said about. I gotta see a photo.
The female Carlton.
I want to see a bow tie. I'm just being real. Like it's gonna be me, but the moment you said it, and
I'm scared. I'm scared. I like the bottleneck glass. I'm very scared.
I know you got some pictures.
I do.
I know. You got to show it to us. Come on.
All I saw was Tom Jones, and I saw the dance. What Tom Jones and dance. So we're going to put a pin in that and come back and revisit it. However, one of the things I want to ask Shekinah is simply this. I'm a huge fan of quotes, and so one of my favorite quotes is Jim Rohn. He says, your life will mirror that of the 5 people you hang with the most. And what most of the folks that come across, they're either living their life by default or by design. When you know where you want to go in life, you start to pick your 5 very intentionally versus accidentally. Most others just accidentally come across folks and they kind of ride with them. My question is this, because you grew up with a cult lifestyle where you didn't have a choice. You didn't get to intentionally pick anything. It was all just kind of put in front of you. How did that change when you got out into the world on your own? Like, was there trust issues where I don't know if I can trust this person? Even when it came to the dating aspect of your life, did you feel like, it's hard to create trust over something? Did you feel like there were moments where you might be pulled back into another cult? I'm just trying to picture the people interacting with you and how you had maybe a defensive wall up, because at this point, trying to gain trust is key. But trusting them is one thing, but trusting yourself is something totally different. So I'm kind of curious about that.
Well, let's start with the fact that I suffered from trust on both levels.
Gotcha.
I suffered from trust on both levels. Self-trust, trust in others was almost a no-no. Again, I didn't learn vulnerability.
Sure.
So walking in my truth, I didn't know what that looked like. I have fumbled and I have walked and tripped until I created over time a new identity. And it's an identity that's constantly being evolved. Today, it is a whole new story, but this is only after completely surrendering to I needed help, getting help, being forced to sit still long enough to receive the help, and begin to learn what trust looked like, what true unconditional love looked like, what healthy relationship and friendships look like. I had no clue. So I learned every single thing, how we call it in Israel, on my flesh. I felt every experience.
Sure. I would like to interject one thing before we go to this next break in about 4 minutes. I think what's so powerful about the conversation that we're having, and the fact that it is both a feminine and masculine energy at the table having this conversation, is that I feel like we're modeling in this conversation, part of what we need to do to create a world that actually values women, creating safe spaces where women can say, be vulnerable enough to say, this is my story. This is what I've been through. This is how I have healed. Or if you are someone, you know, maybe who is not as far along in your healing journey, to be able to say, I need help.
Yes.
You know, I was talking to a friend recently about how important it is to have a healed man in the family, what healed men bring, right? And how much impact healed men can have in a family, and how, you know, me not having my grandfather since the time I was 12 and then my father passing away, no disrespect to the men that are in my family, but certain men who have a certain type of infrastructure and give a certain guidance and covering, right? There are a lot of our households that where when that is not present, then women are stepping more into that masculine energy that Iyanla Van Sant was out here talking about. You know, a lot of women around here, men in skirts. I'm quoting Iyanla. Don't get mad at me for quoting her. But the point that I'm trying to make is when we as women are able to have safe places to be vulnerable, powerful things can happen. And whether that community gets created in your immediate family or extended family or with chosen family, it's important for us to be able to have space to do that and share with each other. And men need the same thing. And I really, you know, given the consensus of what the co-hosts want to do, I want to dedicate another month, maybe April or June or May, to talking about what men need in that way to feel more valued in the world. But we got 10 minutes before we go to break. 2 minutes, excuse me. Shaman or Dr. Karim, y'all want to hop in before our next break?
I'm gonna shoot, brother. What you got?
Oh, no, I'm kind of cool on this. It's like really understanding, like from the female perspective, you know, coming from a cult like that. I guess we can kind of lead into the next or segue into the next section with this, but just for people to think about it, what is one thing that you would say helped you the most, or what was one thing that someone could do to be seen in a place where they're not being seen? In this place, it was a cult, but what can they do? How can they be seen? What would you say? What was your step out moment?
We got a minute and 30 seconds, so you could give us like the first half, and then we go to break.
And even in life, because it's like we got to keep it going.
Well, the one thing I have to start with the fact that I was raised with my father.
Okay.
I was not raised by my mother. Therefore, I was very much in my masculine energy. Brothers and father. So I needed mothers. I needed nurturing. I needed sisterhood. Honest, genuine, healthy sisterhood.
So you kind of were forced to be that man in the skirt, huh? No, but I'm for real, because it happens.
Literally,
I mean, it happens.
Right.
Because a lot of times women get forced into that.
I was forced to be Carlton. I told y'all.
So what I want to know is when you are forced into that energy against your will, how does the opposite sex respond to you? We're going to run out of time. I know
we have to record a part 2.
I want to know that how did that affect your ability? Like, did it push people away? Did it draw? Like, what happened when you was forced with that energy? That's what I want to know.
Is that for Shekinah?
Right.
Yeah, for Shekinah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, your question gonna be how do people respond with the bow tie? That's
well, for me, I definitely over time I pushed. I am divorced twice. So I pushed my husbands away. I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but I didn't know how to be vulnerable.
You got to go to break.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I know it's getting so good. If WOVU listeners,
I knew it was gonna push it.
Listen, we trying to keep all the content in the show because they will cut it off. I mean, literally, if you in mid sentence, we'll cut it off. WOV listeners, stay tuned. We will be right back after this short break. You're listening to Conversations and Courage right here on 95.9 FM WOVU Cleveland. We'll be right back. And we're back. You're listening to Conversations and Courage right here on 95.9 FM WOVU Cleveland. This episode is juicy and funny. I mean, I like that combination, juicy and funny. So, Shekinah, I'm so sorry that I had to cut you off right before we went to that break. Dr. Karim had volleyed up the question about how kind of being forced into that masculine energy affected you in relationships. Did I get that right, Doctor?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the question. I want to know what ended up happening as that transpired and how that affected your ability to navigate. Because I think that there's a lot of women out there that were forced into this situation, and they are in full repel mode and don't know why. They have no clue. Like, why are they running the opposite way and don't realize that sometimes that force energy is like two bulls just boom. So I'm curious. I think some people might need to hear this. What you got?
You're absolutely right. The masculine energy, being raised by my father, being around my brothers, I was forced into an over emasculated state. My drive was off the chain. I was a go-getter nonstop. I would take no prisoners. Emotionally, I was constipated. I had no vulnerability. I wasn't soft. I wasn't in my feminine. I was attractive, so I attracted men, but apparently I couldn't keep them. Again, divorced twice.
You was setting them up. They come in like, oh, she fine. Oh.
So it was a lot. It was a lot to work through. It took me literally 38 years to embark on my 39th year to give myself the highest version of myself. Is by literally going through the process of being mentored, going through emotional health, mastering my mind, master emotion. Like when I say complete reprogramming,
sure,
that's what I had to do. That balance of the masculine and feminine energy is so crucial. So crucial to one's way of life. It's not just, walking. We understand it is walking in your God-like self. But when I say just on your everyday life, walking, being a woman or a man in a skirt, that was me. That was me.
So let me ask you this. I got to ask this because there was a debate on Instagram where a woman got on there and said she worked at a job and the job started paying her a whole lot of money and she was outperforming her husband, even though he was loving and he was at ground zero with her. And she felt like she could do better now that she had elevated, was making more money, and she let him go. He went out there and found love, and then she went out there and was doing her thing and couldn't find love. And now she's on Instagram giving a PSA on how she made a mistake and encouraging other women not to make the same mistake, because a lot of women confuse that with empowerment. And so my question is this, because I've seen the conversations, and of course, the topic is about empowerment. What is the line between what is really empowering women versus the masculine energy side of it? Because we see a lot of people that celebrate independence and they think being independent is empowerment. And so my question for both women, do you feel like independence is actually empowerment, or is there more to that question? I see a lot of people celebrate women, and the Beehive don't come for me, but she talks about independent. But I see a whole lot of independent single. I'm in a drought. I can't find a good quality man, and good quality men like, get your independent out of here, depending on the level of the conversation. So I'm curious, do you feel that independence and empowerment is one of the same, or is there like a line of demarcation, or where does this go to?
I am a firm believer that independence and empowerment is not the same. Although being sovereign is independence.
Gotcha.
It doesn't, you don't have to be single and hold this flag and this banner to prove that you are worthy. Empowerment is being authentically yourself. Being able to walk in a room as nice and genuine and beautiful, soft, loving energy. That goes for men and women. The masculine and feminine energy is so crucial to both masculine and feminine walking around, is because we have the idea, this concept that we're supposed to be rah, rah, rah. Neither has to be rah, rah, rah. And I definitely don't believe that you have to be independent, that feminist movement energy to just be empowered. Being empowered is being you. In my opinion.
No, okay. I can agree. I can agree with that. I can agree with that for sure. But I mean, I think even that still cuts another, I guess, brings up another point, because it's a double-edged sword. It's cutting being empowered and being you. But the problem is a lot of us don't know who we are. So if you don't know who you are and you step into that room and that empowerment, is that empowerment or is that something else? You know, so I think it's, let me just ask this. Would you say that you have to authentically know who you are before you can really step into that? And maybe this is something people should do, is start with the journey into self as healing.
That's where I want to jump in.
Absolutely. Because I'm going to anchor my 3 points again. Powerless, going from powerless to powerful is gaining clarity over yourself, over the situation, being clear. It's not necessarily just a cult situation. This is gaining clarity over yourself in every situation, confronting the situation. That means being honest and conquering it. That's taking it to the next level.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what is empowerment. Starting with self. Starting
with.
And the main reason I even said that is because people need to hear a woman say that. You know, it has to come from somebody who went through the healing process. It's like you have to know yourself before you can come into that empowerment, because people say, nah, I'm already empowered, you know, and yeah, you're empowered, but you're empowered in an unauthentic version of self. We got to be authentic. You know, we got to know who we are.
I think too, like, you know, to piggyback on what's been said and my perspective on your question, Dr. Ellis, is that we have to always look at what's driving us, right? And even when I look at my own journey, sometimes the energy that's driving a certain type of independent spirit is like rebellion, or I can prove, you know, that I can do what X, Y, and Z said that I can't do, right? So instead of maybe, and I confessed this a couple of episodes ago on the show about having an addiction to accomplishment, because I felt like it would give me a certain type of validation. And if I had that validation or perceived a certain way because of the accomplishments, that helped me feel empowered, right? So I think that really when it comes down to independence versus empowerment, let's keep it all the way, you know, let's keep it funky. You know, the completeness of God is both masculine and feminine.
Period.
So the two energies to make harmony and balance need to be present, right? I think what has happened is that there has been so much trauma. There have been so many systems put in place to keep people from really being free and walking in the God energy that they are, that it has caused all these mutations of how we carry our energy for the sake of what? Survival, versus what Shaman said, like really understanding how we thrive. You know, what I have found in my own relationship journey is that there definitely was a part of me that was very used to being strong because I had to be. But what I have longed for, and I'm gonna just put it out there, what I still desire is to meet a partner whose healing game match my level of healing game, to where if I say, hey, I'm not only have I been working on my BS and doing all these programs and got the receipts, but whatever BS may come up between you and I'm still willing to surrender that. Can you meet me in that same space when it comes to you? Are you willing to let go of your ego? Are you willing to release some of the things that are keeping you from being your best self, right? So I guess to me, empowerment now means balance, like in every area of my life. Independence to me means I'm whole and complete within myself. When I come together with another person, we should be complementing each other and helping, you know, my strengths may cover where you're weak and your strengths may cover where I'm weak. But I have had enough experiences to know, like, I ain't trying to do life without True Boo. So where you at? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, And if there's a women out there, yes, because you can get a bag and pay the bills. You know, I have a house, a mortgage, bills. Nobody else is over here handling that for me. I'm doing that by myself, right? But at the end of the day, I still want somebody to share this life journey with. And in order to have that healthy partnership, it all comes back to, what's your relationship with yourself? Are you clear about where you are? Are you confronting whatever you need to confront? And then are you having the courage to conquer it so that you can create something new? I'm gonna give a nod to Shaman Rah. He said,
Hey.
always remember CEO. Can I share this, or you want to share it?
Look, I can do it. Or you can do it. CEO is
Okay,
what it is.
I'm gonna
CEO
let
is
you share it because you turned me on to it. So go ahead. That's yours. Go ahead.
CEO is, you got to be the CEO of yourself. And when you're the CEO of yourself, you make the decisions to elevate to the next level. Every CEO is trying to get that company to the next level. That's the same thing with us. So I say CEO. CEO, first thing is, every day we got a choice. We get up, we got a chance to make a choice. That choice is going to yield us an experience. That's the E. That experience gives us an opportunity, which is the O. We have an opportunity to expand upon that experience, or we can change that experience. So every day we get up, we have a choice. And so I got to have people to understand, when we decide to go into these spaces, it's a choice. We always have a choice to change. And that's one thing we always going to have. Every day you get up, you got a choice. So be your own CEO. Create a choice that's going to give you an experience that you want to expand upon, and get that opportunity. Have the opportunity to expand. So it's real simple. But I think you ladies are telling some good stuff here. I mean, it's like, you know, and Imani, I got to ask you this, and Shekinah too as well.
We got four
Minutes.
minutes.
I got you. Either one of y'all can answer this. Okay. You know, once we start getting into that space, because we got this thing called rhythm. That means we flowing back and forth. The pendulum swings here. Sometimes you're on the high. The pendulum swings here. We're on the low. But we got to find that balance in between. But when that pendulum begins to swing and goes over to the other side, what do you do to bring it in balance? That's my question. What do you do? How do you keep it in balance?
What do I do? Yeah. So
I mean, it could be anybody answer. Yeah.
Okay. You know, it comes down to, like, what's your personal routines, right? What's the formula that keeps you in a healthy relationship with yourself? Yeah. So for me, that's meditation, my prayer life, chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, exercising, you know, eating well, sometimes doing nothing. Yeah. You know, because now that I'm being very intentional about occupying the feminine energy much more, I don't always set up these scenarios where I always have to be doing this, or, you know, that I have to earn my joy. You know, we got 3 minutes left.
I can sum that up for you real quick. It's called shadow work.
That part.
Constantly, you got to stay in shadow work. You got to keep evaluating yourself. Every day you got to evaluate yourself, because look, that ego is so smooth. It'll slide in just when you think you're raising up on that upswing. It'll slide in and it'll make you think you're swinging up, and it'll pull you straight back down. Next thing you know, you're right back into your old space. It's because of the choices we're making, but sometimes we don't even see the choices because it becomes subconscious, and the subconscious makes us run in habits, but those old habits have to be removed. It comes from shadow work, going deep into yourself. But I just wanted to co-sign on that with you, to tell you, you know, all that good stuff so people can understand that shadow work.
Yes, I'm reprogramming over here.
That's it. That's what I'm talking about.
New program.
That's it.
Shekinah, before we close out, tell people how they can find you, follow you on social media, all that good stuff.
First, I would like to offer those who begin to follow me on IG at sheprays_pure, you will receive a free login to my masterclass, my upcoming masterclass in the next 3 weeks, for coming from powerless to powerful. In this masterclass, I will give you some clear keys on how to walk your walk. Now, you can find me on sheprays_pure.
Okay, thank you.
Listen, she said keys with the keys.
That's right. Dropping keys.
Follow here, 3 weeks, we got
That's right.
That's right. Absolutely. We got exactly like 2 minutes left. Before we close out, Dr. Ellis, you wanna drop any gems?
Yeah, I'm a ping pong off what Shaman just said and what you just said earlier. Kill your ego before your ego kills you.
Amen. Amen to that.
I mean, what else you gonna say after that? Other
Yeah.
than with courage, you can do anything. And energy elevation equals real life transformation. So get that light right. And if you need some help getting your light right, find me on Instagram. I am _ Imani Capri. Find Dr. Ellis on Instagram as well. Find Dr. Shaman Rah and Shekinah Keys. Listen, we out here. Shekinah, we have like a minute and 15 seconds. Would you like to share one last word of encouragement before we host the show?
No matter where you are stuck at in your life, you can always begin. You can reboot. You can get up. No matter how low it seems, it's always a choice to just stand. Stand, start walking. I promise you, you will find your way.
Thank you so much. And to the best listening audience in the world, WOVU listeners, thank you for joining us and tuning in today. Until next week, stay safe. Tell your friends and all of them to tune in next Tuesday right here on 95.9 FM, WOVU Cleveland. Until then, peace.